Air Canada trying to coax back customers who may have shied away over fears of a global jet fuel shortage. Iran's blockade of the Strait of Hormuz choked off many of those fuel supplies. But Air Canada says this morning it's not expecting a big impact. Angie Seth has been looking into this. Angie, what can you tell us about the reassurance sent to customers from Air Canada?
Yeah, good to see you, David. I mean, very interesting here. We know about 6 weeks or so ago, we were hearing concerns about a shortage in jet fuel in Europe could be impacted by all of this. We saw some of that with Air Transat, for example, announcing that it was cutting flights to Europe and the Caribbean. A German airline also following suit with tens of thousands of short-haul flights, cutting those just to save fuel. But as you point out there, Air Canada and others are giving some reassurance. So Air Canada itself sending out a marketing email. CBC obtained this, and it's offering discounts to Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. So here's a part of what that email says, saying there's no fuel shortage affecting our operations, including across Europe, and we do not anticipate any significant impact through the summer. In addition to what we saw from Air Canada, European airline Lufthansa also following suit with this, with their own comments on this. Its chief commercial officer of Lufthansa Group saying this in a statement, saying all 6 European hubs of the Lufthansa Group, Frankfurt, Munich, Zurich, Vienna, Brussels, and Rome, as well as abroad, there are no signs from our suppliers that fuel supply will be at risk this summer. And we're seeing something as well from Ireland's based Ryanair as well, sort of pushing, offering deals to their customers. So it's a very interesting move that we're seeing, especially coming from a big airline like Air Canada. We spoke with Rick Erickson. He's an industry expert based in Calgary, and he says he noticed that this notice coming from Air Canada does come with confidence. Take a listen here.
They're getting a strong message out saying that, look, don't worry about the fuel circumstance there. In other words, please don't cancel your flights, or please keep continuing to think about going to Europe. You know, and to underscore some of that, they've started 8 new routes. They've reestablished service in another 8 different destinations. So obviously there's some confidence that they have there.
And so he also goes on to say that if there is a concern of fuel shortage, with Air Canada being such a big airline, it will be able to get access, or should be able to get access to that fuel, David. And Air Canada also telling CBC in an email that they are seeing a high demand for flights to Europe.
That is interesting, Angie, because, I mean, just a couple of months ago, we were talking about a situation globally where, I mean, Europe might run out. Does this mean we're out of the woods now?
Not necessarily, because, I mean, as you point out, there is that concern. These airlines are reassuring, saying, hey, we can still stay in the air. But here's where the concern lies. Industry experts are we're in this situation that we haven't seen before, at least in quite some time, with regards to this level of oil reserves and the shortage in oil reserves. With no resolution in the Middle East, companies like Exxon and Chevron, for example, recently, they've been raising the alarm bells on the status of these oil reserves, and concerns then because of the depletion that prices will spike. At a recent conference in New York, Neil Chapman, Exxon's Mobil senior VP, saying that we're approaching unheard of entry inventory levels. You can debate whether it's going to hit those really low levels in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but he also points out once we get to that point, then you'll see the price shoot up. And Chapman sort of citing that we could be looking anywhere from $150 to $160 US during that time frame. Data analytics expert Matt Smith agrees with this. Take a listen.
We already know that there's this massive hole in terms of the supplies. It's when those inventories start getting to really critically low levels, that's when there is perhaps the aha moment. And when we get that, it's going to be too late, and we really could see prices ripping higher from here.
So it's really interesting when we're looking at the numbers. International Air Transport Association is saying that fuel prices have actually come down. Analysts are saying, well, this is probably due in part to them being able to get access to other supplies, aside from the Strait of Hormuz, but it's not going to solve the problem. We still need that strait to open up. There's heavy reliance on that. And experts also say timing for all of this, David, is going to be very, very critical. We need to get here now. If not, eventually it will become too late, and those prices will end up skyrocketing. But as we say, we pull back on all of this for airlines and whatnot. They're saying summer's coming. You can still book your flights. We're giving you the reassurance you'll get to and from your destination. But we are watching things very, very closely.
All right, Angie, thanks very much.
You're welcome.